Whether it be for temporal or spiritual happiness, one has to undergo suffering first. That is the rule. As one does faulty and sinful actions and undergoes the resultant suffering, at the end of that suffering there is a type of happiness. But this happiness again leads to suffering.
Well, I love you when I'm asleep, and I love you in my dreams. I love you down on my knees. And I love you when I'm praying. But most of all, I love the way you're killing me, the way you're killing me.
In other words, artificial, self-generated suffering leads to the seeking of temporary pleasures for relief, which again result in faulty, sinful actions, and thus goes the cycle.
And I love you when I'm awake. I love you and your grace. Yeah, I love you, Lord, I can't complain. I love you, you're all that I see. But most of all, I love the way you're killing me, the way you're killing me.
It is better, therefore, not to have suffering by doing faulty and wicked actions. To hate, to envy, is a sinful action one does, and its result one has to bear for lives on end. On the other hand, the suffering that leads to spiritual happiness, the infinite bliss, comes uninvited and without doing faulty or sinful actions. If one goes on suffering quietly, if one is determined to and does bear it patiently, then that very suffering leads to the growth of a particular power within one's self. It is due to this invisible power that one gets the strength to bear it. And as one bears it, one begins to feel a particular sort of pleasure and happiness in that suffering. This kind of suffering ultimately leads to the real happiness, the infinite bliss. This is my personal experience.
Well, I love you when I'm asleep, and I love you in my dreams.
If one determines to bear the suffering born out of one's faulty and sinful actions patiently and refrains from continuing those actions, then in time, that suffering becomes the natural suffering which leads to that invisible power and ultimately to the infinite bliss. This makes clear then that every human being should be determined to bear any suffering quietly, whether artificial or natural, or whether physical or mental, and he should be determined not to hate and not to envy, then that determination, without doing anything else, turns out to produce infinite happiness, which results in infinite bliss.